Let's pretend it's July 2023. I was just graduating art school with a big plan in my head to become a freelance artist. And I was so excited to do it. I had so many plans that I wanted to become reality. And I was very motivated to work on that. Really quickly, in October 2023, I got my first Illustrator job with a big publisher to create a comic with them. And I was so excited. I was very hyped to work from home or at an art office on all of this cool projects. And I also planned on working with musicians on their album covers and just wanted to sell my art, sell my own stories, sell my characters, sell my illustrations, whatever comes to mind when you think about, working as a freelance illustrator. Then in 2024, I got my art studio with a friend of mine and just had a space to go to work to, which was very different from working from home. And I was very happy that I had a different space than home, that I had to leave my house every day to go to work. And I really thought that this would motivate me even more to draw and to work. So as you can see, I was taking all of the steps to becoming a freelance illustrator, a successful freelance illustrator, and I was envisioning a bright future, just as all of the cool YouTube videos told me that you can really make it in the art business. And I was also very motivated because all of my teachers and friends, they were just hyping me up and telling me I was going the right way and that I can really make it. So I really believed that and I really tried to work on that. But here I am, a little over 1 year after starting my freelancer career, and I will quit that. I will quit being a freelance illustrator. I failed. Or did I? As you can see, I am very happy with my decision, or I hope that you can see that, because I am. I really am happy with the decision to not be a freelance illustrator anymore. And I really want to share my story with you. Maybe you want to be a freelance artist yourself and you can learn from my mistakes or from what I expected. Or maybe you are in the same situation as I was and as I am and maybe need to hear that it might be a good decision to not be a freelance artist any longer. So let's start with my income. I think this is a very interesting point for all of you out there, because there are a lot of YouTube videos talking about making 5 digits a month from, selling your art online or going on art fairs or doing commissions or YouTube videos or whatever. It seems so easy when you scroll through YouTube to be a freelance illustrator. And I was expecting that for me as well. I mean, I knew it would be hard work to make good money with art, but I was also expecting that because many people had that stories to tell how they make 10,000 a month just from selling prints and stickers and all of that. I thought that I could make it as well. And I think that is possible, of course. These stories exist. But I think it is also very important to hear another perspective from someone who didn't make it that far, because that's also a reality. So let's talk about money. I made around 8,000 euros, which are, maybe also around $8,000 last year in 2023. Half of it comes from the comic book project, and that is the catch, I got that money before actually starting to work on the comic, because that's what is written in the contract, that I get money before starting to work on the comic and that I get the rest of the money when the project is finished and when the book can be published. Then I made around 1,000 euros from art classes that I gave, but I did not really enjoy that job. So it was more like a job to get money in, a job that I had to do, that I wanted to try out if I'm interested in giving art classes. It was that I'm not really interested in that, so I quit that after half a year and I made kind of good money with that. It was still more like a part-time job because I only worked like 3 hours a week at that art classes. Also important to mention is that through the whole time of being a freelance illustrator, I also had a part-time job to bring more money in, because without that I wouldn't have enough money to pay the roof above my head and, food and all of that stuff. I really had to do another part-time job, which was not that bad because I really liked having something else to do than just being creative and draw. But that is very important, that without a part-time job I wouldn't have made it. at all. And the other 3,000 euros came from designer jobs, like creating a logo or creating a manual for a database. So these were not Illustrator jobs. So you could say that only 1,000 euros from these 8,000 last year were made from being creative, or more made from being a teacher. So yeah, all in all, you could say that I was not making any money from my personal art, and I was envisioning being a freelance illustrator to be more like selling your personal art, and I think you could make that, but I didn't really find the way into that niche. So it was just different from what I expected and what I wanted it to be like. So much to the informational part about my finances and what I made in this 1 year. And 8,000 euros, don't get me wrong, is good money for the first year of being a freelance illustrator. I mean, together with the part-time job I still had like enough to pay my rent and pay everything. So for the first year, it is good money. And even though these were partly projects that are not that creative, I think this is still where you could start and then go farther from that. Yeah, so don't get me wrong, this was a good start for me. So yeah, finances were not the reason for my decision to quit freelance illustrating. So hear me out. The thing was that I had a time period last year from July to September, so 3 months, where I had enough money to not worry about money, to just do my art, to do the comic book project, to find more creative projects. And the thing was, I didn't. I think these 3 months, even though they could have been the most productive in my life, because I didn't have to worry about money and I had my art studio and I had everything I needed, they were the least productive that I had in a long time, I would say. This was very telling, and this is also the reason why I quit being a freelance illustrator, because 3 months is a long time, and it is not only art block that I had. It was really like I was not motivated. I was too pressured to be creative and to create, to earn money, to really get started with a project. I think in that time period where I really wanted to work on the comic and wanted to finish at least like 50 pages, I didn't even finish 1 page, because everything that I did, and I tried to do that, I didn't like it. I felt like I lost all of my skills, and worse, I felt like I lost all of my interest in creating and being creative. That was really bad, and I felt really bad, and I felt guilty because there was this publisher and this author that was waiting for artworks for the comic, and I just couldn't do it. And I was pressuring myself to do that because I was like, you chose to be a freelance illustrator, so now go and be a freelance illustrator, you know? And I couldn't. I just couldn't. I was working on other projects like my YouTube videos, which I really enjoyed, but I felt so bad because these YouTube videos didn't get me any money. The comic book project would have, but I don't know, it was just not even an art block, but I was so blocked to create. Being a freelance illustrator or being a freelance artist is all about pushing yourself, and I couldn't. And even though these things like not having a boss, having the freedom to create whenever I want, whatever I want, and working from home if I don't feel like going to work, these were the things that I was looking forward to so badly, being a freelance illustrator, not having a full-time job somewhere. But ironically, and I think it's kind of funny, these are also the things that make me quit being a freelance illustrator now, because I just realized, and I had to be honest with myself, it's not for me. I really felt lonely being a freelance illustrator, because even though I share my art studio with a friend, he has a full-time job somewhere else, so he wasn't there all the time. So I was alone every day, the whole day, working, and if I didn't motivate myself, nobody else did. Not having a boss is cool, but if you don't have a boss, nobody gets upset when you don't get to work. So you can also not go to work for a week. So this can get really tricky, not having a boss and not having colleagues. It can get very lonely and very tricky. And what I also lacked in this whole time of being a freelance illustrator was a structure of the day. So I really tried to get up at 8 every day, to be at work at 10 and then work until 4 to 6 p.m. But the structure, because of the already mentioned reasons, was not that important. So I slept in some days until 12 and then maybe did not went to the studio at all. I just think that I am not that kind of person who can set good structure or who is disciplined enough to stick to that structure that I give myself. This was my accountability, of course, but I just realized that I couldn't do it, or I did not want to do it. I don't know. Maybe I was just not motivated enough to draw and to do all this project. Yeah, this is just my experience. And as I mentioned, I felt very bad for not sticking to my routine or not even having a routine, for not working on the projects that I had to work on. I really felt guilty. And with that came that my mental health was not at a good state, because I was always worrying about I work too less, I work too much on some days, I neglect my friends maybe, then I neglect my work because I'm seeing friends and not working. So I really got into a lot of anxiety because there was so much uncertainty, also financially. I would not say that I was really depressed, but I was really sad a lot of the time, even though I thought being a freelance illustrator would make me super happy. So let's get back to the question of this video. Did I fail in being a freelance illustrator? If you see it that way, that I tried it and I wanted to be a freelance illustrator and now 1 year later I won't pursue it further, you could say that I failed because I could have tried more, I could have done more. So yeah, maybe I failed, but I like to tell myself, of course I like to tell myself something different, but I really mean that when I say it, that I did not fail. I just made experiences and I realized that this was not the way for me, even though I thought it was. And I think especially in freelancing, for example, or maybe, no, not even just with freelancing, every job you make and everything you make in life in general is something you have to try out first to know if it is something for you or not. I think I did not fail. I think it was a very good experience. It was also a very fun time, but also a very hard time at times. Time. But it was very good that I went this way, because now I know that it is not for me. And it was very hard, to be honest with me, to really be like, okay, busy, you really wanted to do that and you kind of promised it to yourself. And I also wanted to show the other people, oh yeah, I can do it, you told me I can, I will prove you right, or I will prove the people wrong who say that freelancing illustrator is not a real job or whatever. It was really hard to be honest to myself and say, okay, no, it is not for me. But, a big but, just because it is not for me doesn't mean that other people can't do it. So this is not the point of the video, not at all, because I personally know a lot of people who will do it and who are making it as freelance illustrators. But I just see a very big difference between them and me, especially in being motivated and creating all the time and not being pressured as much as I was, because they enjoy creating so much that doing a comic book project is not pressure for them. They are looking forward to do it every day, and I am not, I have some creative and productive days a month that I have to use for that project, but I could not do that every day or 3 times a week or 4 times a week, and especially not when I'm not in the mood for it. And this is a very big difference that I see in other people, that they are made for art, they are made for doing art and creating. I mean, look at the big creators like Hayao Miyazaki or Kim Young-gi, or I don't know, even some Instagram artists who just do it all the time and they love it, and I am not one of them. So if you are one of them, or if you feel like this is really what fulfills you, then go for it, try it. Maybe you will say, as I did, it's not for you, but maybe you won't. So go for it and try it. That's very important, and I don't want to discourage you with this video. I just want to give an honest review of being a freelance illustrator from my perspective. So only one question left in that video, and I don't know if you're interested in hearing that, but of course I now have to make new plans for my future, because I am not doing what I was planning on doing the next years. And I think this is really interesting, because even though I had the realization throughout this time that being a freelance illustrator is not for me, I also realized how much I love doing this, how much I love doing videos, because I even though I was not productive with making comics and drawing and stuff, I was always motivated, even though I did not make many videos this last year, but I was always motivated to do that. I was always thinking about YouTube. I was always thinking about making videos and creating and editing videos, and art and drawing is cool, and I will do that still. I will draw for myself, I will draw for my story, I will draw for my videos, but I won't do that as a job. But I really would like to do something like this as my job. And since I have this new plan in mind, I am so motivated, I am so excited to do that, so it feels right to do it. Maybe I will also do something completely different, I don't know. This is what I want to do now and where I see myself in the future as well. In the end, I just want to say thank you for being here, of course. And if you want to be a freelance illustrator, then go for it and try it. And I hope that this video was helpful. And I really wanted to update you on my life situation right now. I hope that you have a successful new year. Speaking of which, Happy New Year, it's 2025. Okay, now it's enough. Bean? Ugh, why? Bean? See you in one of my next videos. Bye bye.